It looks like smartphones are getting a new refresh. We already checked out the Xiaomi 14 Pro, so in case you missed that video, click here on the top right to go check that out. But in this video, we're checking out the OnePlus 12. This is going to be OnePlus's 2024 flagship, and it's launching on January 23rd, 24th. And this phone is going to be launched alongside the OnePlus 10R, which is going to be a more budget variant. But this is going to be their flagship this time around. There's no Pro variant as well. So this is the one with the Hasselblad branding. So let's quickly talk about this device and see how it fares in front of the recently checked out Xiaomi 14 Pro. And we do have another competitor in the mix that will also be showcased on this channel in the coming days. So stay tuned for that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get started with the OnePlus 12. Now we have this in this almost white looking color. This is a nice color, but it will also be available in a few other color options. This phone is the flagship for OnePlus, as well as whether it's going to be one step forward or two steps backwards this time around, or just one step forward for OnePlus is something that we have to see. We do have the alert slider, which is excellent. And on the front is Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2. So we've got Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front, as well as another Corning Gorilla Glass on the back of unspecified variety. And this, of course, has a better resistance, almost sapphire glass here with the Hasselblad branding. And you can see the 3-camera setup along with LED flash and some sensors over there, which is really nice. The overall build quality is pretty robust. You do have an aluminum frame on the phone and it feels really comfortable in the hand. The frame itself is rounded off. The edges are curved. It feels great. The display itself is also curved on two sides, as well as has very minimal bezels. In fact, symmetrical bezels all around. They look great. And you have a punch hole camera in the front, which is the preferred type of camera for a lot of people as well. This display is fantastic with a 6.82-inch size, which is diagonally, and it has a 3168 by 1440 pixel resolution, and it has a peak brightness of 4500 nits, which is now going into some ridiculous amounts of territory. It's more like a ego war now. So, but you get 600 nits of typical, 1600 nits of HBM, and then peak of 4500, which means that basically at about 1% of the screen, it can achieve 4500 nits, which is just incredibly bright, and I don't even think most people need that level of brightness, but it's available on this device if you so choose to. One thing that you should note is when you start the phone, you go into the settings, you go into battery, and you need to turn on high performance mode to get the best out of this device. Otherwise, it is performing at a slightly restricted performance level, and so even in benchmarks you'll get like 50% scores. In our case, we did experience this, and that's when we figured out that you need to put this in high performance mode. So if you look at our benchmark history, in the first benchmarks we were getting really low numbers, 969, 5022. But then when we got the performance mode turned on, then you do get better numbers out of the box. But this is something that if you're a OnePlus user, you are aware, but if you're not, then it can be something that restricts you in terms of performance, and you might feel like your flagship phone is not very flagship. Speaking of flagship, let's talk about what's running everything on the inside. So we've got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip on the inside. We've got lots of options for RAM, including 12 GB of RAM, 16 GB of RAM, up to 24 GB of RAM. And you can also pick up to 1 TB of storage, which is UFS 4 storage. So pretty fast in terms of that. Of course, you can add additional RAM. So you can add up to 12 GB of RAM as well. So this variant specifically is 256 plus 12. And then we've added an additional 12 GB of virtual RAM as well. The main thing is going to be, of course, the cameras, the Hasselblad branded cameras. There are 3 different sensors over here. There is a 50 megapixel main sensor, which is going to be the sensor that you're going to use the most. This has pretty good color reproduction as well as light input on this. And then you also have a 64 megapixel telephoto camera and a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera. Now all 3 of these cameras are tuned as far as the colors are concerned by Hasselblad, and there is a Hasselblad option available in the camera menu as well. So those are things that make this the Hasselblad branding special. But we've seen improvements in the camera as far as OnePlus is concerned, and these cameras also seem good at our first impressions. We do have a camera comparison coming in a couple of days, so stay tuned for that, because we're going to be putting this phone to its paces as far as that is concerned. As far as video recording options are concerned, you get 8K video at 24 frames per second from the main camera, as well as 4K at 60, and you can get 1080p video at up to 240 frames per second. On the front, you have a 32 megapixel camera which can do 4K at up to 30 frames per second as well. You've got a 5400 mAh battery that can charge up to 100 watts with the wired charger. That charger is included inside the box as far as this variant is concerned, and then you can also wirelessly charge at up to 50 watts using OnePlus's proprietary wireless charger, which is also available in India if that's something that you're looking for. The phone also has a USB-C port which is 3.2, so you do get a fast USB-C port over here. So if you're transferring data on or off the phone, especially if you're capturing 8K video, you'll be easily able to do that. And you can also see the speaker grill over here. It does have stereo speakers, and the speakers are fairly loud as well. So if you're using this for basic video consumption, or you just want to enjoy a quick Instagram scroll, this will be perfect for that and is really loud enough for that as well. Now this one is running completely ColorOS. You can see ColorOS 14. It is based on Android 14. We might see a fork of this for our markets. So we might see Oxygen OS when it does launch, or at least named Oxygen OS, but very similar to in terms of how it looks and feels. I personally preferred Oxygen OS to ColorOS, but people have their own preferences. There are certain apps that are specific to ColorOS, and there are certain OnePlus features that are available on this device, but when it officially launches, it'll have a lot more features as far as that is concerned. Now, in terms of performance, it's done and held up fairly well for us. Here's a look at the benchmarks in comparison to some other devices in the same price bracket. Now, this has been sort of launched in the 600 euro price bracket, so we have to see how much it launches for when it launches here in India, or how much the US dollar pricing is going to be. So we'll stay tuned for that. If you have any particular questions or queries about the OnePlus 12, let us know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video and want us to make more such content, let us know in the comment section below as well. This has been Bharat. You've been watching iGyaan, so let's see you in the next one.